my craft channel, and I hope hello again. As I mentioned in the pilot episode with the first Christmas house, which was a Cakery, I bought the other two. This time I will focus on the cafe and share with you the entire process of its creation. Some elements are missing here. These are the garlands and the base, because I wanted them to have common shades for all the houses, and I painted them at the same time. The first step is to cut out all the elements. Yes, cut out, because there are two risks. First, when trying to pull them out, smaller details may break. Second, if you first paint and then pull out the individual elements from the frames, the paint may chip. Besides, you do not have the possibility to paint the edges, which are usually visible in an already assembled house, and it does not look good. Once I have everything cut out, my next step is to make the mounting bars in the side windows. The manufacturer didn't plan this, but I will use the leftover plywood for this. This time I won't make the matins as dense as in the case of the Cakery. I'll do them in the other way. I do it by trial and error. I don't feel like using a ruler, so each time I measure a given section by eye, and if I manage to cut it well, great. And if not, I take another piece and try again. With a ruler it would certainly be more precise without unnecessary waste of time and material, but I chose a more bumpy road. Time to find the perfect shade of basic paint, in this case green. As I mentioned in the video about a Cakery, I decided to stick to the colors of the packaging as an inspiration for the color of the tenement house. I want to achieve a dark green broken up with a bit of olive. I dilute the paint with water to make it loose and easier to apply. In addition to green, I will also need brown, because in this case I decided that the decorations and woodwork will be wooden. and I start painting from the mountains in the windows. Painting is a very time-consuming and generally boring process, so I'm not surprised that most people skip it. And I also came up with shading and varnishing, not counting details like inscriptions or small decorations. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do with the lettering on the sign and the window panes, how to finish them to match the wooden background. I decided to try a metallic grey marker at first. Time for the first layer of plaster and a test of how my color will look on the plywood after drying. Now it's time for the sides. On the back of the front wall and on both sides of the back wall, I drew the outline of the upper ornament of this tenement house with a pencil. If I'm not mistaken, it is technically called a pediment. Now I can paint the wall, preserving this decoration. Another layer and a change in the shade to a slightly lighter one. The inner part of the rear wall, where I will mount the lighting, remains unpainted. The front already looks quite good, as far as the plaster color is concerned. Similarly to the back wall, the inside part of the front wall remains without paint. I only paint what protrudes above the roof. paint the top decorations. And other details. I made a final decision on the lettering. It will be gold. This is mega precise work. The brush is very thin. I apply the paint in dilution. Because the spaces between the letters are very small, I also use a precision brush to paint the background. I guess it was at this point that I came up with the idea of shading the wooden elements. I'm using a darker brown here. I most likely did not notice that my camera had turned off, because we now move on to the final stage of shading, which involves delicately highlighting the contours with the darkest shade of brown. I also paint the side edges with the same paint. The lower front part of the cafe has only been painted once and it's too light, so I am applying a second layer of paint. Now it's contour time. The outer frame of the lower part of the tenement house is almost ready. I decided to add gold borders on the panels with the inscriptions. It turned out that I misled one of the cornices somewhere on my desk and I didn't paint it, so I'm catching up. The ornament on the back wall hasn't been painted yet. As you can see, I made a mistake when painting the plaster. I'm trying to fix it now. Despite my best efforts, I don't like the effect of this correction. Time to shade the missing cornice. And now I will paint the interior elements. This is the only tenement house where we can see what's inside. Here we have a couple drinking coffee at a table, lamps, a table and 2 chairs. Since these are silhouettes appearing in the windows, I decided to paint them black. Adding lines to the panels inspired me to add gold accents to the other elements. Time to contour the rear pediment. and also the rear part of the front. I felt something was missing in the main pediment, so I decided to go big and add a few more lines. I also added gold decorations to the cornice. Next, I started working on the brick. To make it more visible, I chose brown. Second layer of paint on the stars. For the roof, I chose dark brown. I decided that one coat looked satisfactory, so after it dried, I started highlighting the roof tiles with a very dark grey paint. I have everything painted. Time for varnish. I like to use the plastic from the blisters as a gutter for paint or varnish. Before I throw it away, it plays an additional role. When the paint or varnish dries on it, I don't have to worry about washing it. I throw it away and get another one. I would be sorry to have a palette for varnish, even though they are very cheap. I have the blister mold for free. Varnishing is the last step before assembly. But one coat is usually not enough, and it is as tedious job as painting itself. And that's where I will end this part of creating the cafe. In the next episode, I will deal with assembling it. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss the next part of finishing the cafe and the next tenement house. Bye!